Hello, welcome to this lesson. The title of this lesson is Dogma 95 or Dogma 95. The word dogma generally denotes a set of principles or tenets which constitutes the fundamental practices of a school of philosophy or a religious community or a legal framework or a movement in art and literature. Etymologically, we can trace the origin of the word dogma in the Greek language. In the Greek linguistic tradition, dogma literally means something which is believed to be true. As belief is the crux of any dogma, rational justifications of such system of belief seem to be impractical. Therefore, the word dogma is used in common parlance with a pejorative connotation of a web of control mechanisms or a network of disciplinary apparatuses imposed forcefully on people by an overarching power structure from outside. However, a willing adherence to a bunch of broad basic principles by a community or people in their artistic or philosophical praxis also has to be acknowledged. In that sense, dogma is a general value system observed by a collective of believers, activists, artists, philosophers, and so on. Though dogma implies a closed system of doctrines, often some constituent protocols of a dogmatic system could be deleted or added to. So, dogmata, the plural form of the lexeme dogma of a school of thought, often remain flexible, open to reconsiderations from time to time. Dogmata of a system provides it an order or definitiveness. That's why words like ambiguity or uncertainty or indecision stand antonymous to the word dogma. Dogma 95 or Dogma 95 can be addressed as a movement in film that got officially inaugurated in theory with the release of the Vows of Chastity on 13th March 1995 in Copenhagen, the capital city of Denmark. However, the first Dogma 95 films were released only in 1998, 3 years after the release of the manifesto of Dogma 95. Often, the phrases Dogma 95 or Dogma 95 are interchangeably used to refer to the same movement. Learning objectives. To enable the learner to understand the meaning and implications of the word dogma, to follow the historical background of the Dogma 95 as a movement in cinema, to comprehend the basic principles of Dogma 95, to identify the major films and filmmakers of Dogma 95, and to critically respond and appreciate a few Dogma 95 films. Dogma 95 film movement began in a grand and official style with a crisp and briefly written manifesto having just about 250 words prescribing the tenets of the new movement. The primary aim of it was to bring cinema back to its basics, liberating it from the confinement of the studio system. Claire Thompson says that, I quote, "The Dogma 95 manifest declared itself a rescue action. The mainstream cinema had become corrupted by the film of illusion and the individual film." Unquote. The Dogma 95 manifesto was jointly written by the Danish filmmakers Lars von Trier and Thomas Vinterberg. Afterwards, 2 more Danish filmmakers joined them, forming a filmmaker quartet. The Dogma 95 Danish quartet filmmakers comprise Lars von Trier, Thomas Vinterberg, Christian Lerving, and Soren Kragh Jacobsen. This film philosophers come filmmakers Quattro later got re-christened as Dogma Brotherhood. Dogma 95 movement's primary objective is to make chaste or pure films because it believed that mainstream films, both commercial and art house movies, are ridden with impurities of various kind. Impurities here means unwanted cinematic embellishments. The Dogma 95 propagators uphold the philosophical notion that pure cinema is possible even in the absence of certain value-added additional features which are found in mainstream cinema. Lars von Trier is a key figure in the Dogma 95 film movement. He was born in 1956 in Lyngsby, a Danish town near to Copenhagen, in a well-off family. He is a professionally trained filmmaker who has undertaken courses in film theory and film direction from University of Copenhagen and National Film School of Denmark respectively. As a student of film, in 1982, he achieved the rarest of the rare distinction of getting a theatrical release of his graduation film, Images of Liberation. It's a film on the life of people in the post-Second World War. The film features a German official who is on a visit to Copenhagen to meet his former mistress after the German occupation of Denmark had been over. The horror and trauma, along with the indispensable memories the male protagonist undergoes, are the major thematic layers of the film Images of Liberation. Images of Liberation has a predominant presence of low-key lighting, reddish frames, shadows, gloomy air, and a melancholic voiceover. All wars come with a cost, seems to be the message of the film. On the following aspects of filmmaking, the Dogma 95 movement prescribed certain restrictions or control mechanisms. Film location, properties in film, film sound and music, type of camera and camera movements, color and lighting in film, optical filters, cinematic action, temporal and spatial coherence, film genre and format, role of the director in film, and finally, the rejection of the notion that cinema is a work of art. Let's now critically look into these 10 plus cardinal principles of the movement Dogma 95, which are famously known as the Dogma 95 vows of chastity. Insistence on shooting on location. The proscription of films shooting within the studio set happens to be the foremost principle of Dogma 95 movement in cinema. Danish filmmaker Thomas Vinterberg's 1998 film Fasten or The Celebration is considered to be the first film made according to the Dogma 95 principles.
Det er Christian. Hej. Ja, jeg er her nu. Jeg får helt lyst til at flytte hjem igen, men det får nok sine problemer. Det får nok sine problemer nu.
Hvad fanden, det var sgu da min bror, mand. Det var sgu da min storebror. Hvorfor helvede siger du ikke noget, mand? Hva?
Som om jeg så ham, altså.
Du må ordne alting selv her, mand. Hvad fanden, Christian, mand, hva?
Instead of shooting in the studio set, the movement proposed that film shooting should be executed on real locations, both indoor and or outdoor. Such practices will attribute more realistic authenticity as far as film locale and plot are concerned. Moreover, this practice will completely erase the role of scenario creators, which in turn would make filmmaking financially affordable also. Rejection of unwanted properties and artificial film sets. Commercial films make extensive use of filmic properties and expensive sets in order to make film look spectacular. Unnecessary properties and elaborate artificial sets actually reduce the film to an object of ocular pleasure. Therefore, in the context of Dogma 95 film praxis, usage of filmic properties are brought to the minimum level possible. Lars von Trier's 1998 film Idioterne or The Idiots is the second classic Dogma 95 film.
Hi.
Hi.
Here you are. Enjoy your meal.
No! Shut up! Hi. It's me. Table just up there.
We've some Christmas decorations for sale. How much are they? Bush, how much are they?
€100.
Oh, that's a bit expensive.
Hello. You better come outside for a minute. There's been an accident in your driveway. Are you serious? You could say that. The disabled are out selling Christmas decorations and they've fallen over. Is anyone hurt?
Oh!
Idiots are the people of the future.
But you're not idiots, so you're lying.
Yeah, but I'm not black either. If I was to travel to Africa, I'd become a little more black every day.
Young, gifted and black. Oh, what a lovely, precious dream.
Only those properties which are absolutely necessary for a particular cinematic narrative in a particular cinematic context are permissible. This particular provision also presses the need to find those necessary properties from the real location of action itself. A foreign or alien property cannot be imported into the cinematic context. Insistence on organic film, sound and music. A film's soundscape or the whole oral scape of the film should be organic, and it must be perfectly compatible with the images or sequences shown. Enrichment of the soundtrack of the film with additional or external sound layers must be avoided under the Dogma 95 conceptualization of film sound. Similarly, music in film must be compatible with the demand of the image or scene. Soren Krag Jacobson's film Mifjun's Sides Sang or Mifjun's Last Song 1999 is the third film of the Dogma 95 movement.
Mifunes sidste sang.
Det der ene kan du da ikke klare, kan du?
Ja, jeg har også en bror.
Hvad er det her for noget?
Du er kraftedeme, du har råd! Hvis ikke du ikke færdes med dig!
Liva Silander.
Christian Jensen.
Dogma films avoid the use of music in film for emotionalization, dramatization, beautification, etc. Dubbing of sounds, enhancement of sync sound captured during shooting, and background scores are also generally avoided in the Dogma 95 tradition of filmmaking. However, enriched soundtracks with non-diegetic sound elements are often used in many films that come under the category of Dogma 95 films. Usage of handheld camera. Dogma 95 principle vehemently recommended the use of handheld camera in the film shooting process. The basic aesthetic philosophy behind the adherence to handheld camera aims at making movie and movie watching experience closer to the biological faculty of human eye. Kristen Lerving's A King is Alive 2000 is also considered to be an ideal Dogma 95 film, which follows the Dogma 95 principle on cinematographic practices.
Okay. I must change arms at home and give the distaff into my husband's hands. Soon you will hear if you dare venture on your own behalf a mistress's bidding. Decline your head. This kiss, if it durst speak. I can do it better. I can do it better. Can I do it again?
Yeah, sure.
I must give this. I must change arms at home. And give.
Aerial shots, crane shots, microscopic visuals, etc. are avoided in Dogma 95 films. Furthermore, the camera movements were limited to the capacity of movements of human hand. However, this restriction did not prohibit any experimental handheld camera movement and camera angle. Camera shots achieved with dollies, cranes, drones, and other devices actually turn cinema into an ocular spectacle. Handheld camera prevents such impurities of ocular phase. Usage of color film stock and natural lighting. Many a time in the history of world cinema, the usage of black and white film stock was considered to be experimental and aesthetically deeper. In the context of Dogma 95, the usage of color film was accepted because visual shot in color film stock makes them natural as human eyes see in color. Dogma 95 also restricted the usage of elaborate artificial lighting while shooting a film. It proposed even a cut when enough light is not available to shoot a scene. Maximum a single camera mount light source was permitted by the Dogma 95 canon. Dogma 95 movement did not confine itself within the territory of Denmark alone. Many French, American, and British filmmakers have contributed to the burgeoning of Dogma 95 films. French filmmaker Jean-Marc Barr's film Lovers 1995 is a notable addition to the movement.
Jane! Jane!
Gaga?
It's not Gaga. It's Gaga.
Gaga.
I love you when you say Gaga.
Još uvek vazduh miriše na med od naše poslednje ulice.
Cache plus belle princesse. Bienvenue parmi nous.
I sena tvoja ruka i njen zagrljaj nežnom strašću me začarala.
C'est dangereux de rester au milieu de la rue, les amoureux.
Avoidance of optical filters. Photographic filters or optical filters attached to the camera function like an instrument of modification of the image or sequence which is being captured. Such tools could modify the shape, breadth and width, color, texture, etc. of the image. In Dogma 95 films, such optical filters or optical manipulations are avoided both while shooting and during editing. The avoidance of such filters renders a natural aura to the cinematic image. Julian the Donkey Boy by the American director Harmony Korine is considered to be the first out of Europe Dogma 95 film. It features the life of a schizophrenic young Julian in a family which has been dysfunctional over decades.
Hello? Mommy? Hello, Julian?
Mommy.
Hi.
Hey, Mommy.
Hi.
Mommy. I can call you Mother. Mom.
Yes.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, Julian.
Hi, Mom. Plastic surgery there.
No, sometimes when people smoke too frequently, their teeth get dirty, and me and my staff will whiten them with special dental tools.
And what about my teeth, Mom? I got gold fronts. Chris got me some gold fronts. My little baby brother, he gave me some gold fronts for my birthday, Mom.
That was very nice of him.
Yeah, I can eat through.
Refusal of superficial action. Most of the mainstream cinematic actions are supernatural or superhuman, which have got no real life counterparts. Mainstream cinematic actions and scenes either overplay or underplay human activities. In the case of cinematic events also, such exaggerations and playing downs is applicable. This makes cinematic actions unreal or fictional. To take the cinematic action more similar to real life, Dogma 95 avoided superficial actions, exaggerated events, eroticized sex scenes, elaborate and choreographed murder scenes, etc. The visual idiom of Dogma 95 is that of naturalism. Argentinian movie director Jose Luis Marquez's film Falkland, released in the year 2000, is about the proposed sexual conquest by impregnation of Falkland Islands women by Argentinian men.
Una cola.
¿A dónde viaja? A las 7 de la mañana.
Hice 36 colas.
¿Pasaporte y pasaje también o no? ¿Malvinas? Sí.
Mira cómo te miran, Fabián. Han visto un argentino.
Adherence to temporal and spatial unity. Sudden cuts that affect a total geographical shift and complete rearrangement of the time are prohibited in Dogma 95 films. Such locational and temporal jumpy shifts bring in disorientation both to the cinematic plot and to the spectator's imagination. However, the Dutch director Lon Scherfig's rom-com Italian for Beginners, which is considered to be a model Dogma 95 film, has a geographical shift from Denmark to Italy.
Vorrei un biglietto per Italia.
Un biglietto per Italia.
Jeg vil utrolig gerne have ind på nogle af mine hold derovre, men jeg er jo meget søgt.
Men du underviser heller ikke i italiensk, gør du?
Nej, det er rigtigt nok.
Santa Vergine, ma perché sono così brutta e stupida?
Vaffanculo, stronza!
Taler du italiensk?
Altså, hvad synes du selv, det lyder som, hvad, professor?
Undskyld, har du tid til at gå med uden for et øjeblik? Undskyld, har du tid til at få et par på snodden? Jeg kan ingenting. Nej, det er jo ikke så godt.
Nej.
Hun er smuk.
Jeg lagde godt mærke til, at hun smilede meget til dig.
A general policy of geographically here and temporarily now reinvigorates Dogma 95 cinematic imagination and approach. The cinematic action should unfold in this particular geographical space and in the temporal moment of now. Discontinuance of the idea of genre movies or genre movies. There are many genres in cinema: western, rom-com, science fiction, historical, epic, war films, expressionist films, and so on and so forth. Different mise-en-scène and filmmaking practices are followed in the making of genre movies. Dogme 95, as an avant-garde filmmaking approach, dispenses with the idea of genre movies altogether. The reason could be the fact that genre movies take the spectators through expected paths. Horror is expected in horror movies, suspense is expected in crime thrillers, aliens are expected in science fiction films, and romance is expected in romantic drama. In the case of Dogme 95 film movement, each movie is a genre in itself. James Marandino's movie Americana 2001 defies any generic classification by being a fiction film taken in the documentary style.
She left because her needs were not being met.
Where's she from?
Don't do this.
I just want to hear you say it.
She's Danish, all right?
Well, she's not American. Did George Washington leave Martha because his needs weren't being met?
This is not helping me at all.
We live in a free country, man. And this Swedish girl, she couldn't take it.
She's Danish.
I'm proud to be an American, man.
This is not just a paper. This is my life. This is the past 7 years of my life on paper.
Hey, my uncle, who's a real patriot, has passed away. Left me a Harley Davidson back in South Dakota.
Chris, that's not a Harley.
I know.
A thesis has to be totally original.
We'll take it anyway.
What? From here to LA, that's 2,000 miles. We're gonna die.
Acceptance of Academy 35mm as the ideal film format. A few of the commonly used formats of film stock in movie making are 8mm, 16mm, 35mm and 65mm. 35mm film, the most popular of all these formats, is perforated on two sides. It is known as Academy 35mm format because in 1923, the Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences standardized the aspect ratio of 35mm film format. The Academy Annual Awards are generally known as Oscar Awards. Dogme 95 movement insists on using standard Academy 35mm film format, unacknowledging the film director. Amongst all the principles of Dogme 95, this is the most frequently flouted tenet. In principle, Dogme 95 does not believe that a director is an artist. This view is in perfect contradiction with that of the French New Wave cinema movement of the 1950s, which upheld the notion that the film director is an auteur, the one who is equated with an author. In French New Wave, film director is all in all. In the Dogme 95 tradition, a director enjoys only the status of a facilitator who refrains from his personal taste and aesthetic orientation while making a film. However, most of the Dogme 95 films unfailingly give directorial credits to the individual director. The following quote from the book Dogme 95 sums up the larger goals of Dogme 95 movement. I quote, "The goal of the Dogme 95 collective is to purify filmmaking by refusing expensive and spectacular special effects, post-production modifications and other gimmicks. The emphasis on purity forces the filmmakers to focus on the actual story and on the actors' performances. The audience may also be more engaged as they do not have overproduction to alienate them from the narrative, themes and mood." Unquote. Dogme 95 films bear mise-en-scène style, adherence to naturalistically unfolding storyline, minimal technology and lifelike acting, etc. provide the audience fresh viewing experience. Availability of high quality portable digital camera and computer editing suites made it easier for filmmakers to follow the Dogma 95 principles. After about a decade of its emergence, the Dogma 95 movement came to a halt by 2005. Thank you for watching.